on Zoom and here. Three's company.
Perfect.
Can we start with your thoughts on Miami? You haven't seen them since, man, it's been a long time. Seems like.
Sure. Yeah, beginning of last year, right? Obviously, just this really talented team, experienced. Messi, maybe not. We don't know. Adding in a DePaul, another world-class player, would kind of fill Messi's position if he isn't. If Messi's there, then he'll drop back a line. They just have a ton of quality, you know. They're not necessarily similar to a lot of MLS teams in that they're run and gun and they have a ton of back and forth, but they have so much quality that they can settle the game down. That every instance is, and I said this about them last year, like every situation can be a dangerous situation very quickly because of the quality of the players that are on the field. So you can't take anything for granted. We have to defend well, because if we lose a man, it can be the end of it. You know, if Jordi Alba's facing forward, he can pick out anybody in any position. If Messi's on the field, his ability to drop low and to do whatever he wants, but what he's doing to kill guys, and he did it to us a year ago, is he drops low, he gets the ball wide, and then he accelerates away from his marker, and you got to make sure that you're not ball tracking and you're actually defending after the pass, things like that. So they require you, I think, just to really be on your game and for details to be taken care of. And for us to have to execute. So, it'll be an interesting game. I don't, again, considering the conditions and the opposition, I don't think it will be an up and down, back and forth game. I think it's going to be two teams that want to have the ball and are going to want to try to pull each other apart as much as possible and try to capitalize on big moments in the game.
First revisit with Messi, it seems like 65 minutes, he's like moving around, but not doing much, and then boom, 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 2 goals and assists.
Yeah, it's really up to him. I saw a game a couple weeks ago. He lost a couple balls early, and he looked a little bit annoyed with himself. So then he flipped a switch, and he goes on to score 2 more goals or set up 2 more goals pretty quickly. And next thing you know, they're back in the game. Then they're on top of the game, and so it's really just for him. He's calculating all the time, he's super efficient, but calculating when and where and how he's going to punish the opposition, when and where he wants to change the rhythm of the game and actually change his rhythm of the game. And so he's just so smart. And as a defender or someone who's dealing with him, he almost lulls you to sleep. And then the next thing you know, it's boom, 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 and he's off and he's running off of you. And like I said, he finds Jordi Alba as good as any player's ever found an individual, and Jordi Alba has a GPS on Messi. Like, it doesn't matter where he is. Somehow, with his quality, he puts the ball right onto his foot or chest or whatever. It's really an incredible thing. And then you have all the other good players that are around them as well. So, but yeah, he's so calculated. And the second that he sees that your attention is not on him and it's off someone else, boom, he's making a run that's killing you. So, and then he can beat you on the dribble. Like, it's a very, very difficult defensive task, but guys have to be really detail oriented and be really focused.
We'll go to Zoom. Josh, go ahead.
Hey, Greg, thanks for talking. Appreciate it. How focused can you guys really afford to be on Miami, knowing that you have to go all the way across the country, come back, and then you have what I would say is a more consequential game in Leagues Cup on Wednesday?
Yeah, I think, for us it's important that we are continuing or building just a little bit of momentum, continuity as we go into Saturday and Wednesday. I like that we have the extra day rest. We all appreciate that. It is a long trip and it will be warm. So it's going to be striking a balance of kind of keeping the group together. We don't necessarily want to leave guys behind and separate the group. We want to stay as a group, and it'll be about how we organize the minutes in the game and different things like that, because you want to keep some form of a rhythm, and you want to keep some form of connection. You don't want to just not have training days over the course of the week and then show up for a game that's as consequential as Wednesday. But you also got to show up and you got to play on Saturday and be the best version that you can be. Otherwise, you're playing a team that can really take you apart too. So we are one game at a time. We'll focus on Miami. We'll try to have a good plan as we go into Miami, understanding that the week is busy and the week is, as you said, consequential in the middle of the week as well. So just we got to work through as many of these variables as we can in the best way we can.
And then on Amiro Garces, what's his status? And I know you thought for sure 100% for Leagues Cup, but are you still sort of feel that way heading in that direction?
I do. I think he will be questionable for Saturday and probable and likely for Wednesday is kind of where I would put him. He's on the field doing work with the ball and running and doing all that stuff, so I feel like he's certainly making the progress. The MRI, X-ray, all that stuff was negative, so he seems to be moving in the right direction, and his timeline seems about right for that.
Thanks, Greg.
Go ahead, Alex.
Hey, Greg. Thank you for your time. You kind of mentioned it with the names of, DePaul, Jordi Alba. Those guys obviously add qualities to the attack, but a lot of teams seem to find chances and opportunities to attack Miami. It feels like they're a very vulnerable team in transition. And also a lot of teams, I think, do find quality chances against them. Has that been an emphasis this week, just knowing that you guys probably will have good opportunities, if this, ends up maybe being a shootout?
Yeah, I think if you can execute on the defensive side and recover balls in positive ways, break out in transitions when the opportunities exist, and also be efficient with the ball when you have your opportunities. It's like I said, it's usually not a game that's back and forth with them, especially for a team like us who likes to have possession as well. I think each of us will have our share of possession over the course of the night. Transition moments are going to be big for us as well. But yeah, I mean they have. I think they're also a team that has played a ton of games, and so with all of them, they especially in this last stretch, like us, I think the fourth game caught us a little bit physically, and we were not as intense and proactive about our actions the other night. When I watched them against Orlando, I saw something a little bit similar with them, a little bit like fatigue and maybe a lack of intensity in certain actions. But they'll have a little more rest. It'll be the only game that they'll have in the build up to this week. Yes, they play after, but they're vulnerable, but they're very good and invulnerable in some defensive situations. But they're also very good and can hurt you the other direction. So we'll look for opportunities both in transition and also if we can establish some set possessions where we can be dangerous. So, but defending is going to be a key on the day, and managing the conditions, because it will be a lot warmer than we're necessarily used to, and being able to be efficient and smart and how we approach things is going to be really important.
Yeah, in this last match against Seattle, we saw, Gabriel Peck not really having maybe the desired impact you guys wanted in the attacking half and the penalty area. Just what do you kind of want to see out of him to finish off this season? What kind of momentum do you want him to build? And just what are you kind of seeing him so he can kind of end the season off on maybe a more positive note, personally?
Yeah, I felt the other night the detail in some of our positional play wasn't great. Sometimes, for example, when he needed to come a little lower to combine sort of our group on that side, which then forces the defender to make some decisions and gives Mauricio maybe a chance to run in behind. Like, I felt like we were too far apart and we weren't utilizing each other very well. And when you don't do that, then you end up in physical battles in the field because you're isolated in a lot of areas on the field. Then we were losing a lot of the physical battles. They're strong. They're physically a strong team, and our lack of intensity, I thought, and in addition to that, we weren't really playing off of each other as well as we have been in other games. And so all those things combined, I felt like Gabe didn't have as impressionable game as he is capable of having. I thought at times when we broke the pressure in the first, we didn't have numbers ahead of the ball, but yeah, we would lose the ball on the dribble. And instead of spinning out, getting control, forcing them to defend low, connect our lines and connect our group, and then start to use the ball properly and make them have to suffer a little bit and defend. So I just thought some of our decisions were poor. Our moments when we tried to go weren't great. We turned it over. We expended more energy in transition defending. Each individual, I thought, suffered because of the collective wasn't necessarily as sharp, and our decisions weren't as sharp. And Gabe is just one of those guys. Nasi didn't. He had one chance in the second half, but didn't have a big impact in certain ways. Joe seemed like he was battling and running, but also just wasn't able to have an impact. And I felt like a lot of that was just some of these collective things that we need to be a little bit more detailed on were poor the other night, and that also concluded to some bad decisions and just some bad moments where we didn't create many advantages over the course of the night.
And we'll wrap with Rob. Go ahead, Rob.
Hey, Greg, thanks so much for your time. I do appreciate it. The team looks a little bit different than they did last year when Miami came to Los Angeles. Certainly one of the players that wasn't in the roster yet was Royce.
Yeah.
How do you look for a player like that to go ahead and have an influence on this game? Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think, with Marco, I think the game like this where if we're good at the moments when they're trying to press us, at making them pause and putting them into a lower block or a mid block defensively, I think in those situations Marco will have space and he'll have an ability to find pockets and gaps and try to connect with the attacking guys, try to play guys in, try to establish some final actions where we're again connected like we weren't so much the other night. I think in transitions he has the opportunity because sometimes they will, with their fullbacks high and really attack minded, at times he may play a great role in some of the transition play. So there's different ways Marco can impact the game. I think, I don't suspect that they'll come out and try to man mark us and chase us around all over the field, which means there will be pockets and there will be time in certain areas, and there will be transition moments that he can try to be Marco Royce and be as influential as he has been in many of these games over the last few months.
Anything else? All right. Thanks for your time, Greg.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.